episode of Exploring Photography right here on Adorama TV. I'm Mark Wallace, and in this episode, Teresa's back, and we are going to play with slow shutter speeds in the studio to create some really interesting effects. And so this is all about mixing a flash with the slow shutter speed in a controlled environment to just play and have fun. And so we've got a really cool demo, and so without further ado, you ready?
Ready.
Okay, here we go. Okay, to start having slow shutter fun, what I first want to do is show you how the shutter allows ambient light to come in, and that, well, let me just show you how I have this set up to explain everything. So Teresa is set in a very, very specific place. She has this cool outfit on that we're going to use a little bit later to make her look like a superhero. And then we have these two Fresnels right here. So these are always on LED lights. I have them very, very dim at a different color temperature just to make us have some cool effects. Then I've used the barn doors on these to make sure that no light from these flashes are falling on Teresa. So I've blocked this off, so Teresa's going to be completely in the dark. So all the light from this is just sort of coming to the side of her. It's not going to show up. That's really, really important because this camera, we're going to start slowing the shutter down more and more and more and more. And so if that light is on Teresa, well, she's going to start to be blurry. So I'm trying to keep her in complete darkness. And so to show you this, we're going to turn the lights off, and then we have another camera that can see in the dark. So let's go ahead and turn that light off. And then we have this camera over here. It can sort of see in the dark. I'm going to go over here. Now, I'm tethered so you can see sort of what's happening. We're going to start with a shutter speed of about 1/30th of a second. I'm shooting at f/16, so actually we're going to start at 60th of a second, and it's just my shutter speed, so nothing else is going on here. So let me just take a shot, and at 60th of a second, you can see that we just see these two dots. Not really much is going on there, so I'm going to slow this down. Now at 1/30th of a second, we can see still two dots. Let's go all the way down to a 1/6 of a second, and we can see again two dots. Let's go down to a full second. And that full second, now we can start seeing more and more of that stuff. Let's go down to 2 seconds. Even slower. And now we're starting to see those lights come in. I can even go down to, let's say, 4 seconds. 4 seconds now. And we see 1, 2, 3, 4. Bam. Now, at 4 seconds, we start to see this really cool look. But Teresa is in darkness. So what I want to do is add a flash. So I'm going to turn on my flash transmitter. And now what we're going to do is going to do that again. So Teresa, are you ready? So here we go. The flash fired. We're going to wait 1, 2, 3, 4 seconds. And when we look at this, now you can see that we have this sort of mix of a flash that's illuminating Teresa and the ambient light that is coming in. Now watch what would happen if we start moving the camera around. So this is going to be sort of interesting. So again, at 4 seconds, f/16, here I go, the flash fires. I'm moving the camera back and forth. It's just going, it's going. And now look, Teresa is frozen, because she's frozen by the flash, but the lights behind her are blurry. So that's because the lights are being exposed by that long shutter speed, but Teresa is being exposed by the flash, which happens super, super fast. We can even do some other things here. So Teresa is going to look right up at the flash there, and now watch what I do. I've got 4 seconds to do some craziness. I am really going to go wonky here. Okay, so I just moved the camera around, and you can see that the background lights are all wonky, but Teresa is exposed correctly. And so that's how that works. The other thing I can do is I can change my, when the shutter fires, or when the flash fires from in the beginning to at the end of the exposure. And so that will paste Teresa essentially over the top of those ambient lights. So I am going to really twist my camera and move things around and do some wonkiness. And then, bam. The flash fires on Teresa at the very last minute, and you can see there that we have all these lights blurring around, and Teresa is frozen because she's in complete darkness. Okay, so I want you to play with that. We're going to turn this light back on here so you can see me. And when you play with that in this studio, the thing to understand is when the shutter is slow and you've got some ambient light in the background, you can blur those lights by either zooming in and out the lens, moving the lights around, moving the camera. But if you mix a flash with that, the flash is so fast that it will freeze the subject. And because we kept the light off Teresa, so Teresa was in complete darkness, Teresa was always frozen and still, so we were going to mix those two things, and it worked very effectively. Now that we know that, I want to create a really cool demo. So Teresa, come on up. What we're going to do is Teresa has this really cool outfit, and we are going to use some Pavotubes. These are LED lights, and I'm going to get behind and try to do some things to make her look like a superhero, and we're going to do that by dragging the shutter. So, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, let's do that next. Before we shut off all the lights and start shooting, I just want to really quickly show you how everything is set up. So the camera will be right here. I've moved that so I can walk around here. I have my softbox and my flashpoint speedlight right here. This is just off axis a little bit, so it's about maybe a 15-degree difference between the camera and where that is. We have a full seamless background. It's a sweep that we've unrolled here to keep the background here really dark. It's about 6 feet from the background, so I've got room back here to sort of zip around. And then up here you can see that we have about, again, 5.5 feet or so from the softbox to Teresa. This is at full power. So from here, about 5.5 feet, and then back here behind her, it's about 6 feet, and then everything should work out. And so now that we have that, I think we're ready to shoot. Are you ready? All right, here we go. Okay, now that we know about the shutter and how that affects ambient light, what we can do now is we can start mixing our ambient light with the light from the flash using a technique called dragging the shutter and a technique called rear curtain sync. And so what we're going to do here is I have my camera all set up. We've sort of got Teresa in position. This is all framed and very specific. And what I've done is I've set my camera here to a 2-second exposure. And so it is a really long exposure. And what I'll be doing is I'm going to use these two Pavotubes here. I'll be moving them around. And because my shutter is at 2 seconds, what we'll get is we're going to get these blurred colored lights. It's going to be really cool. And then what I've done is I've set my flash to rear curtain sync. So what's going to happen is at the very last moment, right before the shutter closes at the 2-second mark, this flash is going to fire. It's got a softbox on there. And what that will do is it's going to freeze Teresa. And so we're going to get blurry lights and Teresa properly exposed and frozen. So even if she moves around, because the flash fires at the very end, it's essentially going to be pasting a frozen, properly exposed Teresa over anything that's blurry. So all the blurry stuff happens for the first 2 seconds, and at the very last minute, the flash fires, freezing Teresa over the top of that. Rear curtain sync. It's really, really fun. Now, of course, to do this, we have to have it completely dark in here. And so lucky for us, we have some cameras that can see almost completely in the dark. Oh, before we turn off the lights, let me show you right over here. I have a laptop. I have my camera tethered using my Tether Pro cable, my Tether Tools Tether Pro cable to that camera. And so I'm going to trigger this camera from that laptop, and I have this camera set on a 10-second delay. So I'll push the button on the laptop, I'll go behind Teresa, I'll start moving around my Pavotubes. This camera will shoot for 2 seconds, the flash will fire, and then hopefully, if we get lucky, we'll get something that looks cool. Okay, are you ready? All right, so I'm going to turn on my Pavotubes, plunk, and then we're going to turn off the lights here in the studio. It's going to get very dark. Go ahead, turn that off. There we go. Now I'm moving back into the abyss back here. We have our cameras that can see in the dark. So we've got this camera on the side, and we got this camera over here, so you can sort of see what's happening. All right, so Teresa, I'm going to get right behind you here. First, we have to be sort of quiet so I can hear the camera beeping at me. Here we go. Camera is starting. It's on the 10-second delay. I'm going to kneel down really fast. I went a little bit too far. Okay, so I'm going to come over here. Oh, look at this. In the computer, we can see sort of these weird shapes. You can see that the dark lines around Teresa, those are from my hands. And so I think we can do even better than that. So what I'm going to do is, let's just try it again. So I'm going to start my camera. It's going. And so, is it going? No. Okay, sorry. Got to start my camera here. Now it's going. Okay, so the 10-second timer has started. I'm going to try doing some crossy stuff. Okay, let's see what we got there. This is yet another, oh yeah, look at that. That is cool. Well, we had a ton of fun shooting these, and I think the key to what we got was just to play. I mean, we were back there, I was doing different shapes, different stuff, moving these around, and looking at the computer to see what worked and what didn't work. We shot all the vertical shots in here because of the space that we're in, but you might want to try some horizontals or some squares or whatever. The key is have fun, go wild, see what works for you in your space. Use different lights. If you don't have Pavotubes, maybe use just some little LED lights, or maybe use some Christmas lights, or use anything you have, a flashlight, it doesn't really matter. Just make some craziness and see what you get. It's a ton of fun. Speaking of fun, thank you so much, Teresa, for being here today. These are some of my favorite pictures I think that we've shot just sort of in this style of craziness. If you want to see more of Teresa's work, make sure you check out the link to her Instagram in the description of this video. She's got some great little portfolio, posting stuff all the time in stories. You don't want to miss that. And then also make sure you subscribe to Adorama TV. It's absolutely free. And also click on the bell to make sure you get notifications of new videos. We've got new stuff coming out every single day, so make sure you do that. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next time.